What do you see in other cultures that you wish you had in yours? Find all the secret numbers hidden in the video and post it in the comment with your username to get a chance to win a $50 gift card each month. I'm Japanese and I would love to introduce sarcasm to Japanese culture. Though it may not fit in. I have British friends and I enjoy British humor, but it doesn't make my Japanese friends laugh. Willingness to keep things clean and clean up after yourself. Best example I can think of is the Japanese. I hear the Germans keep to themselves in public. Boy, what I would give to be able to go shopping just knowing nobody is going to tell me their life story about how their grandpa used this brand of toothpaste growing up. Open-minded individuals. I as a male can't walk around with an afro without the people of my culture. Somali. Thinking I'm some sort of thug. Work-life balance. Employers in the U.S. act like they're doing you a huge favor by providing a measly 2 weeks of vacation per year. If they even give you that. Cleanliness and respect. Especially from Asian cultures. Is it too hard to keep our cities and streets clean? Less judgment for living in generational type of homes. Like in a lot of cultures you'll have grandparents, parents, and kids living in a house. In the US a lot of people think you're a failure if you simply live with your parents into mid-20s. It's just so anti-family. I'm going by the film Coco for this, so apologies if it isn't quite how I imagine. But I think the concept of having the whole community honoring and remembering all their lost loved ones is really beautiful. Really hard punishment for corruption. For all public workers. No matter their rank. Like they do in some Asian countries. More saunas. They're brilliant in the wintertime. But it's hard to find decent ones out with expensive gyms, spas here. Garlic butter naan. This should be the base of all cultures. I guess more respect for nature and not wanting to overdevelop our environment for selfish reasons. Less corruption would be nice too. Bar culture after work. We've seen many people go bars after overtime. I want this culture in my country. Naps in Spain, they shut down after lunch and nap. How luxurious. Then they have dinner late. More tradition and loving our own cultures rather than hating them. Japanese school culture. Cultural festivals. Cleaning your own classrooms. And being encouraged to join school clubs would help a lot of people develop a better sense of community and make friends and maybe teach people not to be pieces of shit and not litter. The US needs the Nordic freedom to roam or everyman's right. https en.m.wikipedia.org/wiki/freedom_to_roam. Forwardness when talking to people. I love my fellow Sudani. But we're so passive-aggressive and non-confrontational it hurts. Healthcare that isn't 1. Tied to my job. And 2. Prohibitively expensive. An ambulance ride should not cost $1,000. And someone shouldn't have to go into debt because they got hurt or sick. It seems like personal accountability and doing what's right for the collective whole is a more Eastern concept. While us, Westerners, are incredibly self-centered and will do what we want even to the detriment of others. Bright clothes with lots of patterns and it's basically everyday wear. European consumer protections for us in the US. Also long lunch breaks. I love traditional clothing in certain cultures. I find them to be so beautiful and I wish that in my culture I could go out wearing something traditional and not be stared at in the street like I'm a crazy person. The ability to bring your drinks outside into the street. Americans cannot grasp the level of community that London and Ireland have just by bringing their beers outside and listening to street music or watching a game on the TV in the street while people hop from bar to bar. It was pretty damn cool during the last World Cup. Ambulance rides that don't cost $800 for 4 blocks. The US is too fast-paced. I would love to adopt Mexico's siesta tradition. Or Norway's tendency to slow way down in the winter. Cultures that value a slower pace of life have the right idea. I wish we were able to live our lives however we want like they do in the US. If one of us fails, we all fail, mentality of Eastern cultures. I wish the US took driving as seriously as Europe does. Or at least the UK. People in the UK actually know how to drive. You dare imply that, hey, maybe you should know not to run over school children, in the US. And someone will accuse you of hating poor people or something. Samurai not really in many cultures, I just think they're neat. Rite of passage, a line of signifying personal accountability. More street art and graffiti. Sure, we used to have a pretty vibrant scene back in the 80s and 90s and it's still barely alive in the big cities. But now everything just gets cleaned off and removed unless it's a Banksy or a giant wall mural that has commissioned by the council and lacks any sort of edge or intrigue. In France and Greece there is graffiti everywhere and it makes those places look so colorful and artistic. The bum gun. In Southeast Asia instead of toilet paper you get a little hose to spray your butt crack after pooping to clean up. It's far superior to toilet paper and puts way less strain on the water treatment plants. The haka dance is pretty intense. I love the unapologetic emotion of it. Seems the British have more reserve and restraint, till Prince Harry. A good Christmas and New Year celebration for my non-Christian country. Would be cool if immigrants were accepted in my country like they are in the US. The Greeks pretty much work half days and retire at 45. Sure. Their country has defaulted on debt 19 times in the last century, but who cares? Couple of days. Europe needs to embrace America's free public bathroom philosophy. I'm American, but when I lived in Europe this drove me crazy. I get that bathrooms need maintenance, but charging money for a bathroom just irks me the wrong way. The Western world is much more open than the East, and that's cool and all. But sometimes it goes too far. I've seen 14-year-old post about their sexual preferences, and I also don't really want to know about your sexuality in general. The exception, of course, are dedicated places to those topics. I don't get why those things need to be discussed in front of the whole world and why algorithms keep shoving these things in my face. Admittedly, have done little research into it. But Asian culture tends to value a strong work ethic and you get out what you put in. And masks. Hopefully post-COVID this will become more common. But if you're ill, have a cough etc., wear a mask out to stop you spreading that to others. Thanks. Respect for the elders like in Japan. Young folks these days just downright treat the elders like they don't exist, not looking forward to being treated like a non-person once I get there myself. Seeing dogs as the filthy vermin they are. Wearing masks when sick. And not complaining about COVID precautions. All things I wish we had in American culture. Japan seems to deal better with death and honoring it. Mongolian culture. Helping people out. Like police officers can give half of what they are meant to fine. They will always give you things even if you don't know them. General kindness and also weed. I'm going based off Canadian stereotypes, but from what I've heard, the politeness up there is real. A culture that has a sense of a community and the ability to live in small groups with little to no turmoil or drama. A culture that doesn't put pressures upon people to never grow old, that values experience and keepers of the culture's history. A culture that values wisdom over intellect. A culture that understands its role in nature and attempts to hold nature and this planet with respect and reverence. Strangers asking you to dance and knowing it doesn't mean they want to go home with you. Being paid a livable wage and no more stupid tipping.